All right, joined in the PornCrush studio today by Raven Lane, and we are so excited to have Raven in here as our guest for Ready to Bust. If you're not familiar with Ready to Bust, it's a series that really highlights people in the industry that I think, and that a lot of porn fans think, are just really kind of on the cusp of exploding, on the cusp of greatness. And Raven certainly has a lot of momentum right now. She's working hard. Raven, just to start off, for people that might not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about your background and kind of where you grew up and all that good stuff.
All right, so I'm Raven. I live in Vegas, but I actually grew up most of my life in Nashville, Tennessee. So I was born originally in Los Angeles, and then when I was 9, we moved to Nashville, and then I lived most of my life there. And then these past recent years in my 20s, I decided to move to Vegas. So
Right, right. There's so many stereotypes when you hear Nashville. It's one of my favorite cities, but I mean, everyone thinks they think country music, they think great weather
yeah,
and good food. What were some things you liked about living there?
right. Good barbecue.
Hmm.
Um, I still have a lot of good friends back there. It's still a good time. Like I love visiting cuz when I go it's just so pretty and like green, and I just
Hmm.
go run around with my friends all day and like get kicked out of bars, like go to parks, just like, smaller town
Yeah.
stuff where it's different than Vegas because like there if you go to like the grocery store, the bar or something, you're most likely going to run into like someone you went to school with or like
Hmm.
someone you somehow know. But out here it's not like that as much. So that's something that I do kind of like about there. Like I still visit. I still call it back home.
Right.
Like I still kind of feel like part of me is there just cuz my friends are there, but like
Yeah. You moved on. Raven, what were you getting kicked out of bars for? Were you a good little hellraiser back in your
no,
day?
no, I just love like running around with my friends and being crazy.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Nashville's fun. It's a good place to visit.
Right. Now, everyone, did you ever get into the whole country music fandom? Were you ever a big country fan, or did you
Mm,
stay away?
no, I never like hated it, but I feel like I never got like it never really piqued my interest too much.
Right, right, all good. What were your passions and interests? I guess growing up as a maybe as a teenager, like when you thought about your life, what were your initial plans for your future? What did you want to do?
I mean, honestly, like I am a really spontaneous person, so I never have been one of those people that was like, "Oh, at this age, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna get married," and I've just kind of went through a bunch of different phases over the years.
Mhm.
But teenage me just kind of I actually was a good student for the most part. So like especially my later years, like junior and senior year, I just kind of focused on school. I had one boyfriend like all 4 years of high school, so I spent a lot of time with him,
Yeah,
or just like with friends, just kind of like normal basic stuff. I've always been like on and off really into working out, so I'd work out a lot. I did track for one of the years, just
yeah, yeah. Were you a sprinter or a thrower? What did you do in track?
Oh, I'm just super fast. Yeah, it was sprinting for me. Like distance, I suck at, but
Right,
or I'm
right.
not as good at. But speed was what I liked.
Yeah, yeah. So you graduate high school, spend a little bit longer in Nashville, and then move to Vegas. Tell me why that city is was a good fit for you. At that point in your life.
Well, I've always been super close to my family, and they moved out here first, and so I would like always visit, and I just liked it a lot, and then it just kind of like aligned perfectly with what I do for work, and then also just I
Yeah.
liked it. I don't know, it's nice. We have family friends out here,
There's a
so
little bit of a glitch, but don't
I
worry.
just take that leap
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. Now so many people when they first get to Vegas, they go wild and crazy. They start partying and hitting the clubs and all that kind of stuff. Was that you for a while, or what was it? What was your first
No,
couple of years out there like?
I honestly don't go out a lot.
Hmm.
I feel like I've probably gone to maybe like 3 clubs total the whole time I've been in Vegas. Like, I'm not really a big, like, partier.
Hmm.
Um, Not that I'm against it, it's fun, I just I don't know. I feel like when I first moved to Vegas, the only real difference I noticed is that because weed is legal here,
Hmm.
I would buy like a lot of weed. So I would just like smoke weed and like relax in my free time.
Right, right. And you
Yeah.
shared with me before that you've been working really hard too, even before adult. You were a server in a lot of restaurants and bars.
Mhm.
What kind of experience was that like? Just getting to meet so many different people from different walks of life every day. Was it a difficult job or did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I mean, there were times it could be like frustrating, like any job, but I had fun at the same time. Just mainly because a lot of my coworkers are like lifelong friends, so
Hmm.
you get to go to work and like tell jokes with your friends and make money. So that's kind of how I looked at it. So it wasn't too bad. I feel like it's kind of like character development doing jobs like that, to be honest. And you do deal with a lot of different personalities and people from different walks of life. So that also can be, I feel like, pretty like good for anyone to do and get used to
Yeah,
doing because whatever job you do, you're most likely gonna have to deal with people
a little
like it
glitch
or
here.
not.
Did
So
you ever did you ever get pissed off at anyone and explode on them, or like difficult customers, or were you able to like keep your composure and in
I
the
never have exploded on a customer. I probably would have lost my job, but I definitely had times where I would get really frustrated or like go in the walk-in. Usually, like you just go in the walk-in cooler because it's soundproof, and you just stay in there for a second and chill out and reset and go back out, and you're good.
Yeah, yeah. Do people tip better in Vegas? Have you noticed that? Because they're already out there with a bunch of money in their pocket. Did it? Um,
um, I don't know. I haven't like consistently waited on tables since like 2020, which like was right before I came out here.
mhm.
So I was more used to like how it was in Nashville,
Right, right. How
Vegas.
about how about with like guy customers that may have thought you were attractive and tried to hit on you a little bit? Did that? I gotta think that happened pretty often.
Um, sometimes, yeah, there were times. I mean, mainly I feel like that would only happen like with bachelor parties and stuff like that. You get like parties of 10 and they're like drinking and like hitting on their waitress and stuff.
Right. Leaving their number on the back of the ticket or something crazy like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Were there's obviously eventually you made the leap into the adult industry. Were there signs early on in your life that when you look back on them and you think, man, that was kind of an indication that I might be cut out for sex work or for porn? Let me.
Yeah, it definitely was like something that I had thought about for probably 3 years before I actually did it, just because I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that I like really like knew what I was getting into.
Right.
Um, but I always was just very like confident with the way I dress and the way I like present myself as far as like being like a sexy girl goes. And so
Mhm.
I always like kind of had that energy. And so I think a lot of people were not surprised that I ended up doing it just because it kind of was a long time coming. And, the past, I think like 4 years, I've been doing like nude modeling. So people are already like used to the fact that like I am naked on the internet and like
Mhm.
that is who I am. So it was just kind of like stepping stones to like doing more and more.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it was so I'm not surprised, but I'm also like I'm very happy with my decision. So
Absolutely. Do you remember the first time you saw something kind of adult related? Were you like in high school or something? Were you watching porn? Did you stumble across some magazines, or are you like I don't know, like I guess
I
your kind of
feel
introduction.
Well, like, the first first time, I feel like, was just one of my friends, like, being a troll and,
Hmm.
like, going to some random website, like, but we were, like, teenagers, like, that like, I, like, thought it was funny, you know what I mean? Because I
Hmm.
was like I was like, "Haha," like, she found porn, but, that was probably the first one, so I didn't even, like, comprehend it yet, and then probably, like, 2 years later, I'd started, like, actually watching it more, but I think that the first thing I watched was, like, a girl video
Right. Were you
that I
turned?
actually
Were you kind of turned on by it? I mean, do you remember being like, "Damn, this is hot"?
Yeah, no, like enjoyed it, and I still find that interesting to this day because like I've always dated men, but then that was like my first choice when I was scrolling was a video with two women. So
Yeah, yeah. I know I've heard a lot of girls say that they got fascinated by girl porn when that was like their first thing to really watch. I was
right,
going to ask you if you were like promiscuous and stuff, but I mean you said you had the same boyfriend through high school, but did you have a phase in your life where you kind of were out exploring your sexuality and hooking up with people and
yeah, for
when
sure.
did
I
what was
had
that like?
a, I think I had a couple different phases. I've gone through a lot of phases in life, but like so I had a lot of points where I was in monogamous relationships and we would end up breaking up and then I would have like a little single phase and then that single phase is where like the crazy shit would go down.
Okay.
um but that was like kind of just on and off like what year was it? Quarantine. I
Hmm.
remember through a breakup like as soon as everything shut down and so like the restaurant I worked at is closed obviously, like everyone's just out of work and that was like, around the time like, I wasn't just hooking up with a bunch of people, but I definitely, like, fucked a few of, like, my coworkers at the
Yeah.
time and stuff like that,
I was gonna ask you how
yeah.
you hook up during quarantine. I mean, how are you meeting people? I guess these are people you already knew. Were you just calling your friends from the
Yeah, I
restaurant?
was well, we had this, like, select small group of us that, hung out right before everything locked down, and we just, like, hung out, like, all the time for, like, months, but there was, like, a couple guy friends I had that I definitely, like, hooked up with.
I mean, shit, you had to, right? Those were lonely times. I mean, people were doing what they
Just
had to
for
do.
but
I first, really noticed you for the first time on a podcast called Turned On, which is run by my guy Ryan Hussey. Hussey Model
yeah.
is a good friend of mine. By the way, that's a damn good podcast for people that are listening to this. You should check that out. He does a good job. But you told some story about. I wish I could remember about some random hookup you had. Was it in a parking garage? What? Do you
Yeah,
remember that?
it was in a
Tell us
parking
that
garage.
story.
It was, like, on the top level of the parking garage. That was in Nashville.
Nashville. Who was that with? Was that a coworker or?
It was a coworker, but he was also my boyfriend at the time.
Okay. Parking garage late at night or out in the car or out of the car or?
It was, like, on the side of the car because there was no one up there,
Oh,
like, kinda
nice.
on the side of the car. But it wasn't, like, super late, but it was, like, after we got off our shift. So, I would say probably, like, 10:30, 11 at night. Like,
Yeah.
we were just,
Still
hadn't left yet.
still early enough to be risky and fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you finally decide to make the leap into actual mainstream porn, after the modeling and things like that. How did it happen? Did someone notice you? Did you dabble in like mini vids and OnlyFans and then start shooting mainstream? Kind of take us through that process.
Yeah, so it was, like, very slow, like, I remember when I first started nude modeling, my friend and I, like, we discovered Patreon, I hope I'm saying that
Patreon,
correctly.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so that was, like, the first platform I used, and I was like, "Whoa, you can actually make money from, like, doing this." Because at first I just thought it was fun, like, I was
Mhm.
just intrigued by it, so I just did it. And then I realized, like, you can make money doing it, and then I found out about OnlyFans in, like, 2019 or 2020.
Mhm.
And so, like, right before the pandemic hit, I was, like, hopping on that train, so that was, like, super helpful. Um, and then, like, I did a few, like, small collabs, little things like that, and then this year is when I started doing, like, consecutively shooting. I did maybe, like, a few videos beforehand, but it
Mhm.
wasn't, like, as, like, all the time like, often as it is now, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like so when you were doing that though, did you get discovered by an agent, by a studio? Like how did it go from OnlyFans to, you know, mainstream porn?
So, the first company, there was okay, so there was, like, a few that hit me up, and then I shot for one, I thought it was, like, a joke at first. Like, I was like, "How'd they find me?" You know what I mean? Like, I was like, "It sounds too good to be true," and it ended up being legit, and it was, like, solo,
Yeah.
which and so then that kind of was, like, the initial, like, "Oh, I could do this," and then I was, like, looking at agents online. There was, like, a few that hit me up throughout the years, but I felt like I wasn't ready yet, so I never, like, really followed through, and then I was, like, looking at East Coast talent more,
Hmm.
and, I ended up, like, applying online and never heard anything, and then, like, a week later, they, found me on Twitter.
Mhm.
Pretty
Mhm.
cool, so it was, like, perfect timing, and, so I talked on the phone with them and just, I just resonated the most with, like, the way they run things, and so
Yeah.
I figured I'd try it out, and I've been with them now since, like, February, and it's been really good, so
Yeah, it's a really, really good agency with a good guy and John that runs it, and he's got a lot of really good
yeah.
models on your on his roster. You right, included right up there at the top.
Thank you.
When it comes to your first scene, I mean, everyone always wants to hear about a girl's first scene. I mean, do you remember what that day was like in terms of nerves and anxiety and all that stuff?
Um, I mean, I always am kind of, like, a little bit of an anxious person, like, just naturally, but I was also just really excited, I knew I was around, like, just good people. They
Hmm.
just were good at making sure I felt comfortable, so that helped a lot too. So it helped me,
Who was the
like,
scene
get
for? Yeah.
well, so the first, like, boy girl probably, like, a lot of people saw was Exploited College Girls,
Hmm.
Ex-Koji.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they're great. Another one of my first ones was Braless Forever. They're awesome. So just, like, I think I was more nervous before I got there, but then once I get, like, on the location and I'm, like, talking to them and, like, figuring out how the day's gonna go down, then I feel, like, 10 times better.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. When do you feel like things really, and again, it's not like you've been in very long. It was just February, I think you said, when this all started. But did you sense a sudden surge in momentum when you felt like, wow, I've quickly gone from being a girl that just shot a scene or two to now things are really picking up? Like what have the last, I guess, 6 7 months been like in that sense?
It's been exciting. It's really fun just because I feel like I'm a very hyperactive person, so I need something to focus my time on. So I like being able to, like, just consistently shoot every month, and if there's ever a month where, mainstream shoots are slower, I can, like, pick up on photo shoots or collabs or whatever other, stuff I'm trying to do at that time. So I like that, I like that it's given me more freedom, I guess, to do what I want, have my own schedule, and,
Yeah,
it's been nice.
it's a nice little life right now. I got to think without question. Are there scenes or times when you get a script and you think this is the scene for me, or this is going to be a good day? Like, where do you think you really kind of flourish and do your best as a performer?
Um, I definitely have had a few scenes where I just, like, know, like, "Oh, when that comes out, that's gonna be,
Hmm.
really good." Like, one that I recently did that came out, it was, like, the whole fit was, like, purple, and it was just, like, it literally felt like I picked it out myself, but they picked out the outfit and stuff. Like, it was perfect, and, like, even my nails, which I didn't know what I was gonna be wearing yet, but, like, my nails matched, but it was, like, a cherry pim shoot, and it was just, like, good vibes. So I definitely have ones. I don't to be honest, though, like, I'm not just saying this, like, I don't dislike any scenes I've done,
Hmm.
but there are definitely some where I'm just like, "Oh, I felt so confident that day," and, like, it definitely shows, like, in video for sure. I feel like the more confident I feel about my hair and makeup that day, it really helps me too, like, if that makes sense. Just because confidence levels.
Yeah, without question. I love hearing you talk about like your outfits and the way you look, even dating back to when you said you kind of dressed sexy. I wanted to backtrack real quick on that. Did you used to like wear like, I don't know if you'd say revealing clothes or stuff, like when you were like in your late teens, early 20s, that kind of suggested, hey, I'm, you know, confident in my sexuality and stuff. Like, how were you dressing, when you were kind of coming out of your shell like that, I guess?
Yeah, yeah, always just mainly, like, I like to be really comfortable, but I
Hmm.
also like to dress cute. So, mainly, like, crop tops and stuff like that,
Hmm.
just, like, shorts. And really too, it's also just because I like to be comfortable. Like, if it's hot out, especially now that I live in Vegas, like,
Hmm.
I'm in barely any clothes a lot of time because it's hot, and I just want to be comfortable. So, but yeah, mainly just like crop tops more than anything. That and I don't wear bras like ever,
Mhm,
and so
mhm.
that's kind of my thing. It's just crop top, no bra, and like comfortable like shorts or like high waisted jeans or something that makes like my butt look good.
Yeah, yeah. I've always thought I really think that your still photos, that like I guess your pretty girl photos, are some of the best out there right now, and you post them a
Thank
lot on
you.
your Twitter, and I think a lot of people need to follow you. You take great pictures, and a lot of the things is, I mean, you're tatted up. I mean, not crazy tats, but you do have a good amount of tats, which I think look great. That's
Thank you.
kind of a polarizing topic, in porn. I mean, has it caused you to land certain scenes, lose certain scenes? How receptive have people been to that?
A lot of the companies that have shot me have like told me they really liked them.
Yeah,
There's maybe a few that don't prefer tattoos, but they haven't like there hasn't been too many. I mean, there's definitely been some, but I like backlash, but I feel like there's kind of pros and cons to everything.
yeah,
So, at the end of the day, I'm me, and if they want to work with me, they will. If they don't, they won't. And that's just
absolutely.
kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think too the industry, 10, 12 years ago, it wasn't as accepted or whatever. But I think people now have
Right.
really changed, and just when it comes to
Yeah.
people that are watching your stuff, when it comes to people that are filming it, I think it's just it's sexy now instead of some distraction. I mean, so that's my take on it. But what's it like for you though to have? Is it a powerful feeling to have like so many fans and men and women too? I guess kind of hit you up and tell you how hot you are, how much they like you watching your scenes. What's it like to have so many people watching you and kind of lusting after you? I guess.
It's cool. It's interesting. It's kind of like a rush sometimes, like when
Hmm.
something new comes out and just like seeing like people like seeing it and their reactions to stuff. But it's cool. It's kind of it's like a weird like mental thing, like you like get used to it after a while, but I don't
What
know.
does what does it do for your confidence though? I mean, I gotta think it makes you feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely like there have probably been days where I haven't felt my best and then like someone sent me like a really nice message and I was just like
Yeah. What's the compliment that you like receiving? I mean, besides just you're hot or whatever, which I'm sure you hear all the time. Are there things that guys have said to you or women that have really kind of lifted your spirits more than other comments might?
um I've gotten a few people who have watched my stuff that say like my personality shines through or like something along those lines. Those comments always make me happy or like when people compliment like my smile or my eyes or my tattoos.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, a lot of times when girls get into porn, I mean, most of the time these days, girls eventually end up doing anal. You kind of were, you've been doing that pretty much right off the bat. Um, how have you? Has that been something you've been doing in your personal life a while? What's your comfort level? Been with
Yeah, it
that?
was already something I was pretty comfortable with, to be honest, and already knew that like wasn't an issue for me.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like too didn't feel like too big of a deal for me. And I just love my anal scenes. Like I feel like some of my anal scenes are like just my
Really,
favorite. So
I've heard some girls say that they prefer it. At least or
I've
a lot
heard
they like it. Yeah. So you're not just doing it for the paycheck. You actually enjoy anal.
yeah, I don't do it like constantly though.
Right. Pick and choose your spots. I gotcha. Last thing before we go into our quick pops section, but last thing, I mean, do you set goals for yourself as a performer? You said you've always kind of been spontaneous. You just take stuff by day. But like when it comes to your career, kind of I don't know, what's your outlook or what are you thinking right now?
I do have a lot of like things I'd like to accomplish, but I don't know, I always evaluate like I go by kind of month to month and I try to look back at like how much I'm growing each month and like how many I don't know how to explain it, like how much my decisions are, you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
impacting things and just how fast I'm growing. Because my thing is just I want to kind of keep momentum going and not burn out over like a few months or years. Like I kind of am in for the long haul of, like making it like a lasting thing for myself, and
Right,
just doing it the right way. So
right. And you're just going at a steady pace, not overdoing it, not shooting, 6 scenes a week or anything crazy. Yeah.
yeah, I think like a few months back I almost felt like I was burning myself out with the amount of collabs I was taking on
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So it's just kind of figuring out like balancing and stuff like that and making sure like I don't neglect myself or like a personal life either or like, time with family and stuff like that and friends.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Those collabs are tricky. I saw you tweeting about that the other day. I kind of felt bad for you because a lot of times you shoot with the wrong person, you don't get the content in time, or it's just, I don't know. It seems like it'd be hard to kind of monitor all that and make sure it's
yeah,
being.
you gotta just really like vet and ask a lot of questions, I think is what I've learned before agreeing up front. I feel like me a few months back was probably more susceptible to like, okay, to stuff like that versus me now. I think I'm a little bit more like not like apprehensive necessarily in like a negative way, but just like to protect myself. Like I ask more questions and figure because that stuff does happen, like I have done like
Yep.
full on shoots and not gotten any of the content back. So that's also like something I learned is like I needed to make more specific model releases that,
Mm.
like had stuff like that in it. So
Yeah. Well, no, I definitely think you're reaching a level too now where you can really be choosy about who you collab with. 'Cause, you should only, pick the best guys with the best reputations. So, um, last thing, we're going to enter into this little section of the interview. This last part is called quick pops. I'm just going to ask Raven about 10, 15 questions. We don't have to go too deep, but we'll start it out right off with quick pops. Raven, what's your biggest turn on in a guy,
biggest turn on.
or just something you like in a guy?
It wouldn't really be anything look wise. I feel like it would be like if they're super ambitious and like they like taking care of like the women in their life.
Yeah, good answer. Okay. What about turn off? Is there something a guy can do where you'll just be like, oh, he's not for me?
Um, like guys that won't work,
Hmm.
guys that like don't have anything they're passionate about.
Yeah, just going through the motions in life and not having much of a
Which
purpose.
like I understand though, like with some, but just not having any job at all though, like that's and not having anything is just like, come on.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's get moving.
Um,
Yeah. When it comes to sex, what's your biggest sexual turn on? Like something that could happen that will really help you reach orgasm and get off. That'll put you over the top.
Probably eye contact and like dirty talk. Like the more intimate I feel like it is, the more versus like or and like guys who moan. Like I like that a lot more. Like that helps me get way more into
That
it.
helps you there too. Okay. Okay. What about positions? Do you have like a favorite sexual position?
I like doggy a lot, but I also hate that then like you can't it's like you're not looking at each other, but I do love that position. I don't know, I'm basic. I like missionary just cuz kissing and like,
Eye
just
contact.
being like close enough. Yeah.
Yeah. You're very sensual. You're passionate. Okay. I like that. I was going to ask you strangest or riskiest place you've had sex. I think you answered that with the parking garage. Um, if you're gonna masturbate, like, do you have a certain type of porn you watch that like a go-to genre or whatever?
I actually feel like I haven't gotten off to any porn other than my own in like the last like 4 or 5 months.
Right. When you watch your own stuff, I mean, are you critiquing yourself and like saying, "Oh, look at this angle I took," or "I could do this better"? Or like, how are you watching it? Because it makes you horny, or are you watching it to study it? I guess.
I've had times where, like, I do look back at stuff and I'll pay attention to, like, certain poses and stuff like that for, like, future references, but I also do just, like, kind of for enjoyment sometimes just because it just turns me on more because it's like, "Oh, that's me," like, that I'm the girl, like,
Yeah,
that so
yeah. And you probably are watching it thinking, "Oh, here comes the part where he does this or that," or "Here's the part." Yeah, you could probably
yeah, it's
pick
kinda like
some
Libby, that's probably why I like it so much.
this site's called PornCrush, and I know you've gotten to work with a lot of good people so far, but are there performers that you kind of have your eye on that you'd like to get a shot at someday, guy or girl?
I feel like the list kinda goes on forever, like, there's so many, I'll probably, like, not even be able to think of them all. Some people I've looked up to for a while, though, like, I absolutely adore Ryan Reed, I think she's so cute, and I love her tattoos.
Yeah,
I'd love to get to, like, work with her on studio shoot or, like, a collab one day or just
yeah,
anything, like, involving her, I feel like would be super cool. It's really a lot of I love Jill Cassidy, I think she's beautiful. Aja Fox,
oh yeah,
Keith Gray, a lot of girls.
yeah, yeah,
A lot of guys too, though. Like I already shot with Isaiah Maxwell, but I adore him. Like I'd work with him any day. Or like Tyler Nixon. I really do want to eventually work with Chris Diamond as
yeah.
well. We've talked a little bit, so hopefully we'll be able to make something happen.
He's
But
he's
yeah,
he's he's on a nice little surge right now. A lot of people are talking about Chris. He's making a good
yeah,
impression. He's doing a good job.
fire.
Um, what's something? What have you ever had like a real strange or off the wall request for like a custom video on OnlyFans?
I feel like a lot of the ones on OnlyFans aren't too weird, but the ones on Twitter sometimes are a little out there. I got one on Twitter, um, like last year, and it was like a guy wanting like a foot fetish video, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then he was like, I ended up not doing it obviously, but he was asking for like an ASMR thing of me crushing crawfish with my feet, like a live crawfish. And I was like, "That's one request I won't be able to to fill." But
Well,
and he asked like he came back multiple times too and was like, he was just asking about it. I was like, "Oh, there's the crawfish guy again. He's
yeah,
back."
that crawfish guy. Just gonna run down to 7-Eleven and pick up some live crawfish and
Yeah,
stuff.
I was like, "Why even get these like?"
um, what's something in your I guess your duffel bag or your suitcase that you take to set with you that you could never live without? Like if it wasn't in there that day, you'd panic.
Mm, it's a good question. I mean, because I feel like I just kind of bring what I need for set. I don't really vape.
Mm,
I vaped for probably, like, 2 weeks last month because I was super stressed out, and then I stopped. So I feel like if I was still vaping, like, that would be what I'd
yeah.
say, but I don't really
Some
vape
people hold those
anything.
vapes and they're like a pacifier. Like they never let them go. I mean, they're in their interviews. They're here. Like yeah,
Yeah,
vapes can
it's like
detach.
that sometimes. Those things are addicting.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what's something that you really love about the porn industry and being a porn star? If you had to,
Um, I like that it's given me kind of like a platform where I can enter as who I already am. Like I don't need to change who I am. It's kind of like a come as you are,
hmm
um, as opposed to a lot of places. I feel like so I like that I don't have to suppress certain parts of myself that I feel like at a lot of other jobs I probably would be asked to suppress. Like I can dress how I want a lot of the time. I can show off my personality. I get to pick and choose what I do, my boundaries,
hmm
stuff like that. So
good,
definitely like the freedom it gives you as opposed to some other, jobs
Mm,
I've experienced.
good answer. Is there something that you wish was different? If you could change something about the industry?
I guess I would just hope that it keeps um getting more accepting of different looks. I feel like there's so many like gorgeous people in the world that like haven't been showcased enough of like different walks of life and different looks and I would love to see more of that.
Just
Yeah.
overall acceptance. Yeah, yeah. We talked a little earlier, Raven, and we have something in common. You said you're a foodie. I am a foodie, but no, I'm guessing that living in Vegas, all my friends that live in Vegas, they get annoyed because people come in town and they're always getting hit up. Where should we go to eat? Can you hook me up
Yeah.
here? Can I do that? When people ask you, where should I go to eat in Vegas? Where do you steer them? Where do you send them?
To be honest, like, I order a lot of food online, or at least that's what I've done for a while. So,
Yeah.
like, um, I love sushi and stuff like that, so I'll order, like, from Sushi Fever a lot or Thai food. Like, there's this one place called Nataya's Secret Kitchen that's really good.
Hmm.
Um, what was the name? There was this one restaurant I went to in, like, the Westgate that was amazing. I think it was called the Edge Steakhouse.
Yeah.
So
Westgate's an
good.
underrated hotel. I like the Westgate. I'll venture over.
Yeah, I've been
I
to
venture over
hotels.
there to place a few sports bets every now and then. Do you spend much time on the strip, going into casinos and stuff? Not really.
No, if I get invited to something, like, I'll go, but I feel like I kinda stay in my little, like,
Yeah,
corner for the most part.
I know you've been to that pizza spot on the Cosmo though, the little secret pizza place. You don't know about that?
I don't think I have.
It's like this little hidden pizza spot. It's on the third floor of the Cosmo, up there by STK. It's like there's no
Oh,
sign on the door. It's just a hallway, and all of a sudden you're in this little pizza by the slice place. It's good.
hmm,
I'll send you the info. But
there.
you're big into traveling too. What's a vacation spot that you like?
I love Mexico.
Anywhere specific or just?
We went to Cancun and we also went to Cozumel,
Mhm.
so that was super fun. I really wanna go back to Cancun,
Yeah, yeah,
finally.
that's a good time. Um, you stay in such good shape physically, and I know a lot of porn stars will tell you, that it's tough maintaining that figure. Do you spend much time in the gym? Does it come natural? How do you keep that frame?
I have, like, always been very on and off with fitness, like, I'll be doing really good for a while, and then I'll, like, get super busy and
Hmm.
kind of feel like I'm slacking off on it, so I'm trying to, like, get back into the groove at the moment, but I do definitely enjoy working out, like, I feel like I actually can tell a difference in my mood, like, when
Yeah,
I'm doing it constantly, but then I also do just have, like, a high metabolism, so I feel like I've always been just kinda naturally, like, slim,
right.
so I, like, haven't motivated myself enough in the past, like, because my thing is, like, I wanna get more muscle,
You do.
you
You
know?
like so when you're going to the gym, you're lifting a little bit. You're not just doing all cardio. You're doing some curls and some lateral
Yeah,
raises and stuff.
yeah, like, toned and stuff.
Yeah. You're right, you can be in the worst mood in the world, and you go to the gym, and an hour later, you walk out feeling great.
It's just it's good release for sure.
Last thing, any pets, that we need to know about? Or, like, a lot of times on these interviews, people always wanna talk about their dogs or cats or tarantulas or whatever they may have, so I don't know if you.
Yeah, I actually am a cat mom. I have 5 cats. So,
Wow.
I have, one of them is, like, old as hell. He's literally I got him in 5th grade, we found him,
Mhm.
and now I'm in my mid-20s, so he's still
Oh,
alive, but I still have
that
5 cats that wander
that
around
is
my
an
house.
old cat.
Do what? Sorry.
It is an old cat. That's
Yeah, he's fucked, dude.
yeah.
He's probably out right now, but I
So when
love
you
him.
wake up in the morning, are they all 5, like, in bed, like, all surrounding your face, or are they just sleep in various parts of the home?
Yeah, kinda, like, all have their own areas, or, like, sometimes they will, like, they come in and out of my room all the time, but, yeah, they kinda, like, all go to their own little areas, and there's, like, cat beds, like, all throughout my house,
Yeah.
so they just, or, like, they sleep on windowsills and shit.
Okay. Well, Raven, I tell you what, I really appreciate you doing this, and like I said, we've been wanting to get you on the site for a long time. You're absolutely crushing it, and
Thank you.
definitely want to check back in with you every couple of months to see how things are going. But thanks again for your time.
Of course. Thank you.